Hello viewers and welcome to Daily Politics. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. On tonight's program, we'll be chatting with a seasoned politician who one can say has an understanding of the happenings and operations in both the current ruling party, the All Progressives Congress, and also the major opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, having once served as the Deputy National Publicity Secretary of the PDP in its heydays. We have Barrister Abdullahi Jallow in the studio this evening. He's a Gombe-born politician and a chieftain of the APC. He joins us to discuss issues in the polity, especially in the political scene and even the national issues like the economy. Welcome to the program, Barrister.
Well, Hamza and viewers, good evening.
Yeah, well, we are happy having you in our studio.
Thank you.
We've been trying for a very long time. Thank God finally we got you.
Today I'm here.
Yes.
And then we will see what to say, and then what we know we will say it the way it is.
We are really excited. Yeah, we'll go on a short break, and when we return, we delve into the conversation. Don't go away. Yes, Barrister, once again, welcome to our studio.
Oh, you are welcome, viewers.
It's almost 2 months now with Tinubu as president, but the general aura in the country is that of hardship. People are crying. Why do you think people should be crying? I mean, instead of them being happy, considering how actually the last days of President Muhammadu Buhari was not really received with, this aura of someone is going to be missed?
Well, the poignant issue is a straightforward issue. It seems to us that this government has good intention in moving this country forward. But in doing so, what is expected of the government, if it brings a certain policy, there is always a need for a solution.
Yes.
I.e., the president removed the oil subsidy.
Yes. On his first day, I mean,
immediately has been sworn in, he removed the fuel subsidy. So what is expected of him is to say, since I removed the fuel subsidy, why don't I direct all the sellers in the country where food were packed, let this food be distributed to Nigerians. Even if it is not free, if you are selling a rice at the rate of 30,000 in the market, the government can sell it to the citizen at the rate of 10,000.
Wow.
Because that now will take away the difficulties of the citizen in the country. That he has increased fuel price, but
twice, we can say twice.
The price of food has come down, and government has intervened to cushion the effects and pains of Nigerians. You don't normally take a hard decision, without looking at the other side to provide a solution, which will help the citizens to welcome the policy that has been taken, that is painful to them, with a solution that will now allow them to say, Papa, you have come with you have beaten me with right hand, and you are now
patting me
with the other hand. So this is what happened to former administration. They will take a hard decision.
You are referring to the Buhari administration?
Yes. They will take a hard decision without bringing a soft decisions. Now, let's look at the issue of cash transfer or ease of doing business. Now you are saying you are doing ease of doing business in the country. i.e. my state Gombe has been rated as one of the successful states in ease of doing business. But the painful part of it is, how many traders in Gombe have a very good capital, i.e. Somebody who is selling akara.
Yes.
She has a bank account and she has a capital that will now allow her to do enough akara and sell it to its customers at a cheaper rate. You don't bring a policy that is good without providing a solution to it.
That would complement the policy.
That is what makes the former administration of Buhari to lose its focus. But we are expecting this government now, through this excellent media, that is Daily Trust, for us to intimate them that, look, when you have taken a decision, prepare a solution so that Nigerians will now be happy. But I am telling you, as I'm coming here, I was able to buy a fuel in my car for about 25,000, and it cannot fill the car.
Oh my
so
God.
Now somebody, how many civil servants, as it is now, with the mockery behavior of NLC, they shout without
backing. I mean, without
good results that are having, even if you are collecting 100,000 per month. Let me just tell you, a graduate of first degree normally in Nigeria starts with a certain figure of amount, i.e. 100,000.
Yeah, that is maybe grade level 8,
step one. And he has to wait for another 3 years in a state to get promotion. In the federal, you have to wait for 4 years. So now you are having 5 children or 2 wives. Economically, you will now even make a planning. You have 6. The first one has 3, the other one has 3. How do you complement their school fees? How do you complement the tariff for
electricity, water, transport, hospital,
health, and the rest? Nigeria has become like you are a counselor of yourself. Counselor in the sense that you have to take all these necessary things that the government is supposed to assist you.
Including security.
You are the person to get your house from Nine Marauders. You are the one to provide health facility to your house, light, food, school fees. Nothing which the government does to the citizens. And that is what we want this administration to avoid. At least it must provide a solution if it brings a certain policy, so that the citizens will now know, yes, Hamza Idris, we are lucky the 3 contestants of presidential contestants
are
having dual opportunities.
How?
Tinubu is a politician and a businessman. Atiku is a politician and a businessman. Peter Obi is a politician and a businessman, which means they know how they are surviving, because they are, especially Tinubu, who is very close to the citizens. This I embarking it like after he has left the governor of Lagos. So many persons in Lagos that I know, he has given some of them a soft loan, 100 million, 200 million. Yes.
To start their businesses.
Start. And if you go to Lagos, you can get this type of people, many that Tinubu has assisted. So he has no reason to say he does not know what is happening in the market.
Now the fear is, Nigerians believe that people could be very nice. I mean, they know their onions before they get to power, but immediately they get to power, it's as if, their heads are removed and then they have a funny one. Why am I saying this? Tinubu announced that removal of subsidy, of course, he has been saying it, but it was not in the script he read on the day of inauguration. He just announced it. We got to know this when he traveled to Paris, where he said that it wasn't in his script, but he had to do it. He believed this is the time to do it. This is amid claim by the elite that fuel subsidy is actually benefiting the rich, not the poor. But it's like the whole thing is now upside down because it is the poor that are really suffering. Is that correct?
Well, Hamza, to be candid to you, you look at it from this fact. The Western world, that is the IMF, America and the Europe, as entirely Europe, what I said, the European Union and the rest, including France and the rest, they can only support you to be a president of Nigeria if you can tell to their interests. In their countries, their citizens have subsidy on everything.
Hello viewers and welcome to Daily Politics. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. Mr. Godwin Emefiele, the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, was rearrested by the Department of State Service, DSS, on the premises of the Federal High Court in Lagos. Earlier in the day, Emefiele was arraigned by the DSS on 2-count charges relating to illegal possession of firearms. Justice Nicholas Owebo, the trial judge, had granted him bail in the sum of 20 million naira with a surety of similar value. Additionally, the judge also signed a warrant for his remand at Ikoyi prison until he fulfilled his bail conditions. However, when prison officials attempted to take Emefiele into custody as per the bail condition, they faced resistance from DSS operatives, resulting in a scuffle, during which the leader of the prison officials was manhandled. However, the officials of the prison eventually left the court premises, seemingly after realizing that there was order from above. And elsewhere, journalists covering the National Assembly were somewhat disappointed following today's plenary, which they expected will contain an expected list of ministers. With barely 2 days left for the President Bola Tinubu to announce his ministers, there has been a lot of uncertainty around what is happening in the delay in releasing the names of the ministers. And to put context to the tidbit, we have Adela Bangboye, our Daily Trust judiciary correspondent in Lagos, who joins us virtually to share more light on the former CBN governor's travels at the court. And good evening, Adewale. Okay, before we get to Lagos, we also have Abdulateef Salahu here in our studio to shed more light on our second tidbit, which is actually the expected list of President Tinubu's case, list of ministers in the National Assembly. Good evening, Mr. Abdulateef Salahu.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me, sir.
And viewers, I am Hamza Idris, your host. Welcome to the program. Let's go straight to what happened in the National Assembly. You covered the Senate for us, and I'm sure you sharpened your pen today, thinking that we will have leaked story for both our television and the newspaper. What happened?
Last week, a lot of stories were flying around.
Yeah.
Reporters covering the National Assembly, especially the Senate, at least tap their sources, regarding the list of ministerial lists, whether it has been sent to National Assembly or not.
Yeah.
And what we have at the end of throughout last week was that, either Wednesday or Thursday, the list will be sent to National Assembly.
Yes.
So the expectation was high, reporters covering the Senate, we're at, the chamber as early, as 10 a.m. because the plenary usually starts around 11.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of us were disappointed when there was no communication from the presidency, to the Senate, on Thursday. So we're expecting that, since there was no communication last week, so definitely,
there should
considering
be this week, of course.
the deadline of Friday, and also considering the fact that lawmakers themselves have to go on their annual vacation, and they have promised that they will screen the nominees before going on vacation. So we're expecting that this week, especially today, the list will be sent to the Senate, and the Senate president will unveil the ministerial nominees.
Yeah.
So, and the procedure for the sittings or the proceedings for the Senate was that whenever there's any communication from the presidency, that communication will be first read. So before the Senate will attend, to issues on the other papers.
Okay.
So today, there was another disappointment as well. The reporters were in the chamber as early, as 10 a.m., waiting, for the list to be unveiled. Yeah,
I know that the struggle to get to the chamber was, more intense today compared to the previous weeks.
No, it has been intense since last week.
Ah.
Yeah, I understand. So because for you to get a seat, even in the gallery where journalists usually converge, you have to be there early enough. So because the seats, they are so limited, and there are, huge number of, reporters covering National Assembly.
And they don't even allow maybe some to stand.
No, of course, no standing. Once the seat is filled up, so you have to be shut out. So you have to look for other means to follow the proceedings, usually through the social media.
You've been covering the National Assembly for a while. Why do you think we're having this challenge this time around? Of course, during Buhari, it took 6 months, right?
Yeah.
Now, why the pressure? This time around, is it because of the constitutional provision that the president has 2 months, and these 2 months is actually inching closer, right?
For me, it's not because of the time frame, that's the 60 days, but because of our expectation from President Tinubu himself. It comes at a time where the country is facing a lot of challenges, in all sectors, and Tinubu has been praised as someone who can turn things around. The
Bloomberg described him as Mr. Fast.
Yeah, Mr. Fast.
Yes.
And when he came,
opposed Mr. Go Slow, right?
Definitely. And when he came in, even on the day of inauguration, he started working. You understand? Nigerians started feeling, his presidency.
But they have started reversing some of the things, meaning they rushed on the first day.
Of course.
I may be wrong.
Of course, and Nigerians were expecting that, for a person like Tinubu, who has been described as Mr. Fast.
Yeah.
So we'll quickly unveil, his ministerial nominees, and the Senate, has promised. Senators have promised that they will at least screen nominees as fast as possible, so that the president, can quickly hit the ground running. Yeah, understand? But,
and I know that one of his aides, immediately after the election, journalists curiously they ask, how soon after inauguration are we going to have ministers? I think one of the aides said 1 month or latest certainly before 2 months, we will unveil the list.
But the same aides also say that the president has the time frame of 2 months.
Yes.
That's 60 days to unveil the ministerial list. And he said so when there were different lists flying around that this person has made the list, the other person has made the list. So he was now cautioning journalists to
tarry a while.
Not to
put,
careful.
too much pressure.
Don't put too much pressure, because the president has 60 days to nominate, and he is aware of the time frame. So there's no need for the rush.
But now we didn't see the list. What are we going to see it tomorrow? Very likely, or he still has Friday.
The deadline is Friday, but unfortunately there was no sitting on Friday. So,
but remember, they can do emergency sitting.
Of course, they can do emergency sitting in this case. Even on Saturdays, they can do emergency sitting. On Sunday, they can do that.
The liberty of the National Assembly to decide when to sit or not to sit.
Of course, definitely. Even on Sundays, they can sit. So we are hoping that between tomorrow and Thursday, the list will come to the National Assembly. Today, the Senate leader, Okoyemi, Bamidele, during his book launch, today where he was celebrating his 60th anniversary.
Okay.
Give an hint that they are actually expecting the list in the next 48 hours. Today, he told the gathering that the president, called him to wish him well on his 60th anniversary, 60th birthday anniversary, and that he could not make it to the birthday, celebration because he has to put finishing touches
together, yeah.
You understand?
And what is the procedure of taking the list to the National Assembly? Who takes the list to the Senate?
The president has an aide on National Assembly matters, the Senate.
Okay.
So, and the list...
I think Senator Gume?
Yeah, Senator Gume. So
yes,
the list, from the president,
yes.
To the presidential aide on National Assembly matter, straight to the Senate president. So usually a confidential document, and no one is allowed to see it until the president, reads it in plenary.
So I'm sure as a reporter, you must have been touching sources to see whether the letter is with Senator Gumel or not. I don't think if you cracked that wall yet.
For the past 2 weeks, we've been doing that. And Nigerians, including journalists, were disappointed.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I understand. Because despite, different information coming from sources, nothing, came out. So I think this time around, especially starting from Wednesday, Thursday last week, and today, a lot of us were a bit very careful. Yeah, understand.
Yeah,
so
because you have your integrity to protect the integrity of the media house.
Yeah, understand.
Also, there is this insinuation that names are being changed almost on daily basis. They will say, okay, remove this, put this one, we have to do this. How can we cajole this one? How can we appease this part of the country? How can we do this and all that? Is that true?
Those things are actually expected, and for me, they are speculations.
Oh.
So because the president knows the person he wants to work with, so even though he has to at least satisfy some certain interest, because a lot of people work for him, during the election, and so we know that he has to nominate at least one person from each of the 36 states, and the states has to at least agree on the person we are at least nominating to represent our state.
Yes.
And at the same time, the president must be satisfied with that person. Yeah. Knowing fully that, okay, this person, whether he has the capability or not to serve under my government. So the issue of removing his name, putting this person, one, of course, is, it can happen.
Just like the case of former governor of Kano State, of course, earlier we heard that his name was on the list, but because of pressure here and there, they settled to now give him the national chairmanship of the APC. And this story, I think, has been verified beyond reasonable doubt that he's going to be the national chairman of the party. But as a political reporter, myself and you, I was saying it sometime in the newsroom that if I were to be maybe governor or minister, I think I should have my list long time ago. And some of our colleagues asked that how. I said, look, you go around all the country, not once, not twice. So I feel if I were a governor, whenever I go to any local government, I will come back with at least 5 names. All the local government in my state, I will come back to my house with 5 names as a takeaway from the visit there, apart from the promises I will make to the people. So that from those names, I will say, okay,
let me settle with this.
Let me settle with this. That is at my level.
But in Nigerian context, it's easier said than done. Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
So because it's easier for anyone who is outside government or outside power to say, okay, if I were the governor, if I were the president, if I'm in this position, I will do this, I will do that. But when you are there, I understand, that is when you will now realize the responsibility, the load of that, office.
Yes, but what I'm saying,
so you may have
even,
you want
of
to
course,
work
you
with.
know that state chapters of political parties are expected to come up with a list, and that is what I'm actually trying to explain. That okay, the party chairman, the secretary, the caucus at the local government, every meeting. When you go ahead of going for rally, you have like 10, 20 minutes, meeting. You now have that tentatively.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, the pressure will be less, right?
But in Nigeria, I want to tell you that because of so many interests, so we may not really, achieve that, because this person will come and say, okay, this is what the party in the state has agreed to nominate as a ministerial nominee.
Yeah.
But in this case, the president will say, okay, I'm not satisfied with this person, whether he doesn't have the capability or not to do that. Yeah, I understand. So, because the president has his agenda.
Yeah.
And he's actually looking for who and who, that can help him to achieve, his agenda, to Nigerians. He has made a lot of promises. So it may happen that the person nominated by the party in the state, the person may not be satisfied with his capability.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. So he has his own reason why, is keep changing. Okay, let's remove this person, let's put this person. Yeah, I understand. Because he has to do a lot of check-ins whether this person has, the necessary requirement to serve as a minister.
Yeah.
So it's not enough for you to, at least to be a politician, and also work for the success, of a president or a governor. It is not an automatic ticket for you to be a commissioner or a minister, at least. So the first requirement is that you have the necessary, expertise, in a particular field for you to serve in that government.
Yes, and of course, as you said earlier, that the senators, they have planned to go on recess.
Yeah, annual vacation.
Yes, annual vacation. Now, do you think they will finish the screening within the shortest time and then go on the vacation?
So as usual, the present members of the NIN Senate has promised that the screening will be thorough, that it will not be usual bow and go.
Hello viewers and welcome to Daily Politics. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I am Hamza Idris. The Nigeria Association of Resident Doctors, NARD, announced an indefinite strike on Tuesday night. According to Dr. Emeka Oji, the president of the association, the strike is scheduled to commence on Wednesday, July 26, 2023 at 12 a.m. The decision was reached during the July National Executive Council meeting held in Lagos. The doctors have listed several demands, which include the implementation of a one-for-one replacement policy for healthcare workers, urging the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria to cease downgrading the membership certificate issued by the West African Postgraduate Medical and Surgical Colleges. They are also calling for the immediate payment of all salary arrears, implementation of the consolidated medical salary structure, the provision of a new hazard allowance, and the domestication of the Medical Residency Training Act, among others. Dr. Oji stressed that the doctors have been advocating for these issues since January and cannot afford to wait any longer.
The strike may likely affect patients on admission in the hospitals, but at the National Hospital Abuja, some doctors are attending to patients. Head of Department, Information Protocol Management of the hospital, Tayo Hastrop, says patients are attended to in the hospital, even though resident doctors have commenced indefinite strike.
We have other sections of the hospital working. We have our nurses, our consultants, the senior doctors. They are also on ground. The point is that these are the younger ones that are supposed to support them, but they're not there. That means the rate of what they can do will also be reduced, but the laboratory is there. Our patients in the wards, they are also there in the wards. We are seeing them. Nurses are also attending to patients who they're expected to nurse in the wards. The house officers, we call some doctors house officers, they are for 1 year in any hospital, training for 1 year. All the house officers are on ground. They are not member of NAD, and so they are not on strike. They are also working to see their patients. So that means the doctors who are corpers, that means the doctors who are house officers, they are the one who will be on ground to support the consultants.
Some patients who came to the hospital for treatment or consultation speak on the doctors' strike.
We came in here, in fact, we were not even aware that there is strike. It was when we came around that one of the personnel told us that the doctors were not on ground, that there has been a strike. So when we came in, the hospital is scanty because the number of patients they register per day, I think they do take up to like 60. But looking at the issue on ground, the patients are scanty. And they are not even, I think we only have, there are 2 doctors on ground. And we've been here for an hour up to now. We have not been attended to. I hope they will attend to us.
I came in this morning and I was attended to by the nurses and the doctors. I'm waiting for my test. They were able to attend to me smoothly.
The only thing on the lips of these patients is passionate appeal for the government and the National Association of Resident Doctors to come to the negotiation table and resolve their differences. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
That was an update from the National Hospital in Abuja. We are now joined by Ojoma Ako. She is the editor of the health desk at Daily Trust. Ojoma, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, I saw you putting together, for the paper. But that time when I watched you, you don't look relaxed. You were agitated, meaning maybe the stories that came from the States, not really good, right?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, the first day of the strike has started taking a toll on patients.
Oh.
From my field experience and even from our correspondence in the States, the patients bear the brunt of these frequent strikes. When you go to the facilities, you see patients being turned back, even the critically ill from the emergency units, and then even those in the wards that doctors are supposed to attend to maybe by between 8, 9 a.m. They wait till evening, no one to attend to them because the resident doctors are not available. Suffice to say, we have consultants, house officers, and corps members. But resident doctors constitute a large chunk of doctors in health facilities. So their absence creates a lot of problems.
And even the experience, when you compare them with corps members, it's not really the same, right?
At all.
Wow.
Corps members are just coming to the field. Residents have spent some years in training.
Yeah.
And they are far above house officers and corps members.
We call you doctor here, even though that's not your field, but when you talk, it's as if you've gone to medical school. Why this constant strike? I don't know whether you have number of times they have gone on strike in the last couple of years or months.
Okay. During the last administration.
Yes, during Buhari.
Yes, between 2016 and this year, 2023, 128 days was spent on strike by resident doctors.
128 days?
Yes, which should be around 4 months.
4 months. And if you put maybe the casualty is unprecedented, maybe number of lives lost because no people to attend to them.
The cost of these strikes is enormous. Lives are being lost. And like the patients will tell you, sometimes some of them is, okay, let me rush my relative to the hospital. On getting there, you are now being told there's a strike action. Many of them are taken by surprise sometimes. So and some of them do not have they don't have money to go to private hospitals. The distance to other hospitals may be far. Just as they are getting there, they'll be told that resident doctors have commenced on another strike.
Some of these their demands, are they really unsurmountable, like 1-for-1 replacement policy for the health workers?
Looking at that, Nigeria is bedeviled with a serious brain drain in the health sector. So many hospitals are now, suffering from death of specialists. Many of these residents or other doctors have traveled to Saudi Arabia, to other places to practice. And so when there is a gap in the facility, the remaining doctors now have higher workload.
Exactly.
And so this demand is, they want a replacement policy implemented.
So that immediately one leaves?
Yes.
Without too much protocol?
Yes.
There should be another one?
The residents and even other doctors have been complaining of too much workload with attendant burnout, and they are now suffering it. So they want a speedy implementation of the
demands are many, and we don't want to take much of your time because you have a lot to do in the newsroom. But this consolidated medical salary structure, is it also something big? Is it too much to give the doctors?
Well, if we look at other climes, doctors are well paid. In Nigeria, when you compare with other workers, doctors seems to be better paid. But to keep them at home and motivated, they are asking for a 200% increase in salary.
Yeah.
The problem there is there seems to be a circle. Just as government is meeting one aspect for the doctors, the other health workers are coming up with another one. It has been like a circle. So I think there is urgent need for the contending parties to seek other alternatives towards resolving the crisis.
Hello viewers and welcome to Daily Politics. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy and governance. I'm Hamza Idris. On the program this evening, we'll be speaking with a retired military officer who also ventured into politics. Colonel Ismaila Yombe Dabai is the immediate past Deputy Governor of Kebbi State. He will be speaking to us on some issues around governance, the state of the nation and politics both at the state and national levels. The former Deputy Governor joins us virtually from Birni Kebbi, the state capital. Welcome to the program, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much for having me.
We're happy having you on our program after such a long time, trying to reach out to you. Yes, how has life been after leaving office? Are you missing the office of the Deputy Governor?
Well, alhamdulillah, we thank Almighty Allah for the grace. Life has been as smooth as ever since leaving office. It's like, you are carrying load on your head and suddenly that load is removed. There is that sudden uplift of the head from your shoulders.
Yeah.
And the feeling of relaxation follows. That's how I feel right now. And satisfaction that I was able, inshallah, to support my governor in the best possible I can in order to execute his mandate to the state. And alhamdulillah, we completed 8 years in peace and harmony.
Yes, and you decided to remain in Birni Kebbi because what we notice is that most politicians, after leaving office or before leaving office, they built mansions, in Abuja or Lagos or even outside the country. But since you left office, you are still in Birni Kebbi. Maybe you go out just from time to time to do one or two things. Why? Why did you decide to remain at home?
I'm Kebbi. I'm a Kebbian, and the 8 years I had the privilege of remaining in the Kebbi state gave me the opportunity to visualize the need for me to resettle in Kebbi state, specifically that Kebbi state and the states surrounding are great in farming.
Yeah.
Specifically rice farmers. And rice farming has its own fighter. There are these quail birds that really attack farms and then render them relatively useless.
Exactly.
And, before joining politics, that was the business I was doing. So I felt it's better I be in the front line rather than being in Abuja or elsewhere.
Exactly. We will go deep into that. But what is really surprising, so many things around you. Of course, as an infantry combatant soldier, people find it curious. You are flying. At what level did you venture into that, apart from being an infantry person?
But after the war, 2 years after the war, the army muted the idea of creating an army aviation, army aviation that would provide support to the infantry. The kind of combat support required would be close combat casualties, provide logistics, go around difficult targets, and things like that. So they mutual the idea of forming an aviation unit.
Okay, this was around 1967, sir? Around 1967? I say around 1967 after the Civil War? Yeah.
Ended 1970.
Okay, 1970, all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So after that, that was when the idea of forming that army aviation.
Okay.
Because the army felt strategically, it is best to leave the Air Force to deal with strategic targets, and then the soldier should be given close combat support by an army aviation that has the same kind of tactical background and learning, so that overcoming a specific kind of target will be much easier. Easier in the sense that the infantryman will be supplied with logistics, the evacuation of casualties, and they will be provided with close combat gun support. And that would be more efficient.
Yes.
And that was why the idea was mooted. And I was privileged to be the first to be sent for aviation training. First, I went to Zaria. I joined SP9 and graduated from Zaria. Thereafter, I went to the United States. I was nominated to go to U.S. Army Aviation Center in Fort Rucker, where I learned how to fly helicopters, combat helicopters, and I became a fighter pilot. And thereafter, the rest is history.
Yes, and why did you leave the military at the rank of colonel? Because the dream of every soldier, honestly, is to reach the status of a general. What gave you the leeway, to leave the military that time? All right.
Basically, when the idea of the army aviation that was mooted that was shoved away,
yes,
I felt like fish out of water. After having been trained up in the military, the highest level, and in the civil flying, the highest level, because I rose to have an ATPL,
okay,
Airline Transport Pilot License.
Yeah.
You can imagine after having worked that hard and having been trained as a fighter pilot, and then you find yourself out of, then that was one of the reasons. Oh. Secondly, the second reason was these schools. I found myself, I was wondering, I said, look, I came into the army to be a soldier. Definitely not to be a governor, minister, or anything of the sort.
Okay.
But unfortunately, the coups kept happening. And the last one that broke the camel's back was when my roommate, late Michelia,
yes,
my roommate in the academy, was shot. My bossmate too, they were both shot. And there were a few others. When I looked at the horizon, I said, look, I think I have done my best. Let me bow out peacefully so that someday some idiot will not say I is among and then end up in the fire state.
Does that mean that you don't have? Does that mean that you don't have this? Does that mean you don't have this urge to also be a governor? That you said no, you don't want to be part of all the coups and all that.
wearing military uniform, I felt it would be funny to be called excellency at that time. Yeah, because see, I'm 100% soldier. So why should I look forward to? I look forward to commanding a brigade, and I thank God gave me that opportunity to command a brigade. And I thank people like General IBB, Ibrahim Babangida, whom I had the privilege of serving with, who nurtured me to that level. I mean, it's not easy to start thinking of becoming a governor rather than hanging in there as an infantryman.
Okay. It appears that that military spirit is still with you, because I remember, was it in March 2022, when you wanted to go and encourage troops, you were attacked somehow at Kenya in Danko Wasagu local government area. Is that correct? What really happened, and why did you took that dangerous adventure?
Well, I I didn't look at it as dangerous because I have telling my friends that I'm a military property because I was born in the barracks. My father was a regimental sergeant major. And so I said I began soldiering right from my mother's womb. Coming back to that incident, there have been several incidents. If you were to have the privilege of discussing with His Excellency General Babangida,
yes,
the president of the country, he will tell you stories about my escapade in the army. The Kenya incident, I have gone, as I always do, to encourage those troops that we deploy to protect our people against the marauders.
yes.
Unfortunately, ran onto them in Kenya. And they surrounded us, and of course, suddenly that military instinct came in. And all the trainings that I had as an infantryman suddenly came back to me. And of course, we jumped into action. We repelled them, and thank God I'm still sitting here with you.
Yes, and from that incident, have you gone out again to meet with troops, you know, battling banditry and all that?
Oh yeah, the next day I was in Makuku, and 3 days later I went to Ensado to say hi to the district head. Ensado is in Zamfara, and a lot of people at that time felt going to Ensado is just like trying to commit suicide. But yeah, I went and paid my respects to wow. And then to give moral support to the soldiers we had along the line.
Well, hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss, unpack issues around politics, policy and governance. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed, standing in for your regular host, Hamza Idris. Now, the recent surge in petrol prices across Nigeria has undeniably caused ripples across the Nigerian economy, affecting the lives of Nigerians, living citizens and stakeholders alike, voicing their concerns. As the government grapples with the implementation of its strategy, this report, compiled by the producer of Daily Politics, Sagir Ibrahim, chronicles the events from the president's announcement to the current situation in the country. Take a look.
Unfortunately, the budget that I've glimpsed before I assumed office and what I've heard is that no provision is there for fresh subsidy. The fresh subsidy is gone.
These were the words whose effect led to the recent surge in petrol prices, resulting in a staggering 214% increase from 197 naira to 617 naira, sending shockwaves across Nigeria. Citizens have consistently expressed their frustration with the significant impact this price hike has had on their daily lives.
Bros, you know, there is even this 540 with a sweat like this before we see 1,000 go house. If you get luck, you carry 2,000. True to God. Please, at least to our president, Tinubu Jagaban, may them do something.
No, the way the situation thing is going on now, there's nobody, we don't find it easy. Things becoming difficult. Every day, things becoming difficult.
Already, we are facing an hardship before now, an economic hardship. Now we have more to bear. Had I known, I wouldn't have come out with my own vehicle as well. Because buying fuel for 617, it's just so absurd.
The 500 and something that they've given, people are suffering and they are trying to increase more. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Okay, so I'm not so happy. That's why I just want to come and fill my tank. For how long will you use it? less than some days, it will just finish.
Amidst the uproar, the civil society and other stakeholders have also been relentless in voicing their discontent with the government's implementation strategy.
At the end of the day, if you come up with a solution that is not people-centric, people have not made input into it, we'll just be going round and round and doing things as usual. This time we need evidence-based solutions, we need people input, we need inclusivity, and I'll just let's like for instance, a lot of people think that this thing affects only people at the community level. Yesterday, the meeting we had with civil society, we had one of the women who came out to say that in Abuja, because of 500 naira, children are not able to go to school because their parents are not able to give them 500 naira.
My suggestion is that we can move forward. But moving forward would require us establishing clearly that the same systems or the same systemic and endemic corruption and inefficiency that subsidy administration was subjected to will not happen now. So what sort of confidence can the government give to Nigerians that yes, we are cleaning up the room to ensure that going forward, whatever is saved from the subsidy removal can be properly applied or properly utilized?
How has it affected the community of persons with disabilities?
In fact, persons with disabilities has the most hit when it comes to the issues of this first subsidy removal, because when you talk about the poorest of the poor, persons with disabilities are just the poorest of the poor. And when you look at the issue of transportation, persons with disabilities don't really have that opportunity to make use of the cheapest means of transportation, because most of the buses are not meant to have, most of the ones we have in Nigeria don't really have those accessibility features that will make it easy for persons with disabilities to actually use them. And that has actually put them in a very more difficult situation.
As tensions rise, the organized labor is also issuing strong warnings, threatening to take to the streets and shut down the formal sector unless the government takes urgent measures to alleviate the hardships faced by citizens due to this policy. Meanwhile, as a 28-man ministerial list awaits screening by the National Assembly, speculations arise about whether these ministers will be capable of fulfilling the promises of the Renewed Hope agenda championed by President Bola Tinubu and the All Progressives Congress. Sagir Ibrahim, reporting for Trust TV.
Now, talking about those ministers, will the nominated ministers be capable of fulfilling President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the APC's promise of delivering Renewed Hope agenda to Nigeria and Nigerians? Tonight's conversation will center around this particular topic, and I'm joined by our very own Kehinde Amodu. He is the State House correspondent and our in-house analyst here on Trust TV to help us unpack and give insightful viewpoints with regards to what awaits Nigerians as far as the formation of the Federal Executive Council is concerned. Mr. Kehinde, good evening. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good to see you too.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to unpack and double down on this conversation. Join us again. Right, welcome back and welcome to Daily Politics in case you're just joining us. Well, we're going to talk about the ministers in just a moment. And as I did say, we have Kehinde Amodu here with us in the studio to help us unpack and navigate some of the talking points around the names that have made the headlines. There are some that are definitely head-turners, especially people who are not even members of the APC as a political party. So, Mr. Kehinde, let's get it on the way. Your immediate impression since you heard the president's nominees when Senate President Godswill Akpabio was revealing the names to Nigerians during that plenary on Thursday. What are your thoughts about this lineup, the potential A-team for the president?
Well, in the A-team, there is also another A-team.
Right.
That's the first impression I got. Of course, it's raised questions or the debate about whether there are technocrats on this team or whether there are no technocrats on the team. But you understand, the first impression I got is that this is a strong team, but it's not a team every Nigerian will agree with. a very crafty team that has a balance in it. What I see that he's trying to do is trying to balance the notion of politicians versus technocrats without crossing any line. Of course, it raises and there's been a lot of debate about it ever since the list came out. Now, the interesting thing is that a lot of people will say it's dominated by politicians. Then you now ask again that these politicians that this list is dominated by, is it really dominated by politicians? You have, for instance, Dr. Ali Pati is coming back. Obvious choice for the Minister of Health. Obviously, you have Latif Fagbemi on that list. And there's nobody, there's no one that will tell you that that man is not going to be the Attorney General. So you are already, once you see the list, you are already putting people in various positions. You see Dave Umahi coming in. Of course, obviously, the first thing you say is that he's a politician. But with his antecedents in Ebonyi State as governor, and the level of infrastructure that went up, first-class infrastructure for that matter, you will find out that you have to look back to his antecedents as a first-class engineer, civil engineer, before you look at his antecedents as governor. Nasir El-Rufai is coming back as minister after how many years? Since 2007.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yes, yeah. You understand. You can't, you've seen what he's done in Kaduna. So you can't question the fact that he's bringing something on board. So are these politicians or are these people that have something to offer? You have Nyesom Wike, and despite all this controversy, the fact that he's not even a member of the APC, his antecedents in Rivers State, somebody they called Mr. Projects, shows that he has something that he's bringing on board.
Would you say that, I mean, obviously you have cherry-picked a handful of them to give an insight into their biography or their antecedents and track record. Do you think this is good enough for the challenge that lies ahead for the Tinubu administration as far as output or quality of the Federal Executive Council is concerned, the first 28 that we have right now? Do you think this is good enough to face the challenge that lies ahead?
I think it's good enough. From my experience, government is run by 10, maybe 12 ministries. Those are the key ministries that will deliver. You have a very good Minister of Finance. You have a very good Minister of Works and Housing. You have a very good Attorney General of the Federation.
Health, education.
Then you know that we're about doing something. So if you have 10 good ministers or 10 performing ministers, you understand, all the other ministries are just to satisfy the constitutional requirements. You understand? Yes, they will act as ministries, but there are some ministries that will drive the economy and bring it to where it is.